Hello, welcome to the video. Have you ever wondered what time do you usually go to sleep, what time do you usually wake up, and how long do you usually sleep? I wondered this for myself. So, in 2025, I wrote down each time I woke up and each time I went to bed for the year on these charts. I also wrote down what I did each day as a low-effort journal that I could keep up with. The entries were very simple. I'll give you an example. Here's a scan of the chart. Not too sure what this is all about. But the entries were very simple, like go to LaGuardia, fly to Houston, do laundry, meet my friend, go tobogganing. Quick notes. At the end of the year, I typed all this up and put it into Excel so that I could do some analytics. This is what I inputted for the year, and then to get some metrics, I needed to manipulate or adjust the data using help from ChatGPT to make the formulas to do these calculations. The most notable thing that I had to do was change the bedtime from AM PM to a continuous bedtime. Here, for instance, on January 16th, Thursday, I went to bed at 1:30 a.m. That 1:30 a.m. is technically in Friday of the next day, but for the purposes of the calculation, this 1:30 needs to be assigned to the Thursday. So it's converted to 25:30. Some other examples. We have 25:50. So you could have a time that's like 27 o'clock. Enough of that. With this, some calculations. I was able to determine that for the year, on average, I wake up at 7:47 a.m., I go to bed at 11:48 p.m., and my average sleep duration is 7 hours and 59 minutes. I did the same thing for the year, or for each month, and for each weekday. I learned that I had spent a third of the year asleep. That's 121.5 days. The next thing to do was to calculate the wake time, bedtime, and sleep duration variability for the year and each month. Let's take this for instance. This is saying that in January, my wake time was usually within 1 hour of my January average wake time. My bedtime for the year was usually an hour and a half from my average for the year. I also calculated consistency, which is also interesting. This takes into account the sequence, and it's telling us on a typical night how much did these three values change compared to my previous night. So in April, for instance, on a typical night, my sleep duration was plus or minus 2 hours different than the previous night. To better explain the difference between variability and consistency, we could look at two sets of 6 days. In the first set, you go to sleep. You sleep for 4 hours one day, then 4 hours the next, then 4 hours the next, and 8, and 8. And in the second set, you sleep for 8 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours, 4 hours. The variability is the same, but the consistency is different. In the second set, the duration is going like. That is what the consistency is measuring. You can take a look at these definitions for a clearer understanding of what I'm trying to say. Next, I made some scatter plots. Wake time variability versus bedtime variability. Let's take a look at the next set of scatter plots. Sleep duration variability versus sleep duration consistency for the month. Okay, this one is kind of interesting. We have on the x-axis the actual daily bedtime relative to the average bedtime for the year versus the daily sleep duration. So on this night, I slept 3 hours earlier than my average, and this is how much sleep I got, 4 hours, 48 minutes. This is for times that were later than the average. So when you look at this, it would seem like if I go to bed late, it doesn't really influence my sleep duration. But we can do better. We can see this more clearly with some other charts. Right here. Daily bedtime versus sleep duration. This chart only has days where the wake time is constrained. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. The days when I would probably have to wake up for a commitment like work or school. And based on this triangular shape, we can see that, yes, if I went to bed later, my sleep duration also would go down. On the weekends, like a Saturday night where I don't have to wake up early, and here we have all 360 days. This is all just hard information. I thought it would be fun to develop a sleep score. On this tab, a coherence score, which would tell me how coherent each month was using the factors of adequacy. This coherence score is relative to my sleeping patterns. So in this score, there was 3 components: adequacy, stability, and smoothness. Adequacy is how much does sleep duration compare to the average sleep duration for the year. Stability, that factors in the variance metrics, and smoothness factors in the consistency metrics. I took these different metrics, the variances, the consistencies, and gave them a z-score. Then I grouped them by adequacy, timing stability, and smoothness. So stability, as I said earlier, is the average of the variances. Smoothness averages the z-scores for the consistency metrics. Then a composite is made, and then the score is put on a 0 to 100 scale. So this coherence score, how could we interpret it? The December 100 means that December was my most coherent night. I was sleeping the same duration, like a similar duration each day of the night. I was waking up at a similar time, going to bed at a similar time, and it was smooth. March was the least coherent month. This is where it's very subjective. The score has a weighted system to it. So adequacy counts a little bit less between stability and smoothness. I don't have a justification for this. I'm not a sleep scientist. But there's a problem with this coherence score. A month could get a high score even if you slept for 2 hours a day. If you slept every day for a whole month of December, for instance, each day you were only sleeping 2 hours, you could still get a high score. That's where this average daily shortfall penalty comes in. This score is relative to other months. This is absolute. So, this penalty for every hour slept below 6 hours, 20 points are taken away from the score. So this penalty is looking at every day in each month. It sees which days did I sleep less than 6 hours, and then it's calibrated, adjusted for harshness, which means if I slept for 5.5 hours, that's going to be penalized less than if I slept for 3 hours. And then I get the score with a penalty.